Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for waiting so patiently for your video. I'm really, really sorry about that. I'm very glad that I get to finally read it. Because a lot of your questions were about your life purpose, I really wanted to read your natal chart first again and really focus more on that area and then bring in some draconic stuff. So obviously I've looked at your chart a lot of times. But every time I look at a chart, more stuff pops out. So the first thing I wanted to say is that your moon, which is your mother, is in a very unfortunate place for you that affects you in a kind of an insane way. And I think that might come in the way of everything that you possibly want to do. And so what I'm going to say to you is that your eighth Lord, the Lord of your eighth house, is a house that will tell you where fear was instilled in you. Now, the Lord of your eighth is Cancer, so it's ruled by the moon, and the moon is in the third house. Now, moon in the third house naturally has a bipolar flare, not actual bipolar, but it goes up and down. So your emotions go up and down. This would tell me that your mother instilled some sort of fear in you, and maybe even because it's Pisces, wasn't very clear with you and expected a lot from you, but didn't necessarily tell you what she wanted. I'm kind of going on a limb here. It's square Neptune, and having a Pisces moon square Neptune is hard. Yours is harder because it's on your ascendant. So there's a fear inside of you that stems from your childhood and possibly some sort of abuse from your mother. Something with your mother is so strong, actually, that I feel like if she's in your life or around you, your life will get worse because of this Neptune thing. And Neptune itself doesn't know what it wants to do. It wants to live in an illusion. And because the moon is square Neptune right on your ascendant, it forces you to live in this illusion. And then you also are a 12th house sun, and you have all these stellium in the 12th house, which says that you were ignored. So I'm going to go out and just say that your mother was abusive to you. And because of that, you had to escape. And when you escape, you feel better. But when you come back to reality, you don't really know what to do anymore. And so whenever you try to live in reality and you're like trying to live a normal life, it gets really, really confusing because your mother didn't teach you how to at all. In fact, it seems like you were running away from her throughout your life, so you couldn't deal with it. So you're either caught up in your emotions and you're sort of disappeared into them and you kind of feel good about it and you can live like that. Or you have to deal with real life and you're not equipped for it and you don't exactly know how to present yourself. But then you learn and you get good at it. I mean, and when I read the stuff that you write, you're a really great writer. I see that because your moon is in Pisces in the third house. And so it wants to automatically, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, get it out of you and write it out. And it comes out in your ascendant, which is your personality. And so you actually do reflect a lot of your emotional nature and this illusion, and you sort of live in it. People who live in their illusion, because you don't, and you know what, in your chart, you don't have any serious issues that I see that you were born with. And obviously I'm not a health person, but what I see is that you have the need to escape, which tells me that's more of the life that you came from that forced you to escape. You did that to protect yourself from whatever happened. So in a way, it makes me feel like you may not even totally remember all that happened in your childhood because you had to leave it. Sometimes things, they just sort of get ridiculous. Life gets ridiculous for you, and the best way for you to handle it is to escape. So obviously moving to the mountains made a lot of sense for you. So I want to make sure I don't touch on things that I already made a video with you about before. But the other thing then, if you're looking for your purpose in your destiny, you have to look towards your North Node, okay? So your North Node is in Taurus, right? Libra, conjunct Pluto in your 10th house. And Pluto conjunct the North Node is scary in general because Pluto is transformation and it's chaos. Pluto in your 10th house on its own would say that your career will change many times in your life. It might actually be hard for you to have a job, or if you do, you want to create a lot of power in that job. I don't know if you have any power issues in the job. The fact that your 10th Lord is actually in your 11th house, conjunct Uranus, tells me that you try to be very harmonious with your job, and you might actually all of a sudden get fired for no reason or have an issue. It's also square Mars, which is in your 8th house, so there could even be some fear about getting a job in the first place, or something could happen, like living off government assistance. So that can affect your 10th house. But the North Node there in general means that is something you are destined to do. So wherever the North Node is means you can't reach it yet. Obviously, you're getting older, so you're growing towards more your North Node, which is your career. And if you've already been burnt by it before, as your South Node is in the 4th, and Pluto being up there, and that Uranus stuff, it would be hard to want to go there. You want to stay in your cocoon. The 4th house is like a cocoon. It's like a shell. It's, you just want to hide there. And that's where you came from, this 4th house of being by yourself. In Aries, which is by yourself for real. You were by yourself, alone, independent, and hiding. And then I see, the rest of everything when the escaping stuff. So that is where you came from, and that's where you don't have to be anymore. And a really good way to find out how we can actually get to this North Node is to find your outs. And what I see first is that it's Libra. Your North Node is Libra, and your midheaven. Sorry. And that means that the cardinal signs are your bendings. And where your bendings are where we get stuck. And your bending, you have one Jupiter in Cancer. And it's retrograde. So the 7th house and Jupiter in Cancer means there's luck, but it's on the other side of your whole chart. I mean, you're Sagittarius ascendant. So the luck, and it's also your chart ruler. So Jupiter is kind of a huge deal for you, actually, because it's your chart ruler. It's on the other side of your ascendant. It's in your 7th house, so it represents other people, relationships, partnerships, but it's in Cancer, which is ruled by that moon, which goes right back to your ascendant. This all means that you get stuck between your ascendant and your descendant. This is learning about yourself and learning about other people. And being controlled, I would say, by your mother, being taken care of by her in a way that makes it impossible for you to take care of yourself, which then means that as you get older and your mother doesn't take care of you anymore, means that your mother might be sort of in the background, or you rely on your emotions to take care of you, and you fly with the seat of your pants. Wherever your emotions are going, you do that instead of listening to your mother, because our mothers turn into our emotions, and however your emotions react to that. So in your emotional nature, which is very deceptive to you and deceptive to other people, but it's also an illusion, it's also very sensitive and psychic, stops you from achieving your purpose and your goals in your midheaven. And because the Lord of your 10th is conjunct Uranus in the 11th, the internet is huge for you. You could start something on the internet. Now, the fact of Libra being up there means that you would want to take on a partner to do things that you can't do. Jupiter is in your 7th house, and so that does say that you have the ability to connect to somebody that can help you, depending, because you're good at networking. Now, see, Uranus conjunct Venus means you're good at networking. It also means that sometimes you're really bad at it. Like you gain a lot of networks and then you lose them a lot. Or you feel like you want to be out there and then you go back and you hide in your shell. So you have to work with that energy and use it to your benefit, which means that you would really need a partner that is stable, like a a business partner to sort of help you do the things that you want to do, which means that if you're something that you are particularly good at, which you can find in your fifth house, you can use that, and maybe someone you work with would be helped out by you. And I'm seeing a lot of like you are capable of helping somebody else out. So now, see, your fifth house is in Taurus, also ruled by Venus. Now, Venus is in the 11th, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses away from your fifth house. So your talents lie in the 7th of the 5th, which means it's in an Aquarius area, and it's conjunct Uranus, so it's in an Aquarius area, and it's in another person. So this tells me, sorry, that didn't make any sense, you would be really good at astrology. You're also really psychic. When you have a hard time living on this earth, if I spend too much time telling you you need to be here, it doesn't matter, because that's not the type of person that you are. You're the type of person that needs to live outside of reality. You thrive there. And so thinking about your talents being in stuff like the internet, astrology, connecting, all those, making connections, maybe even, being a mechanic, all that stuff that is the mystical intricacies of life, but maybe even still hands-on. That's stuff that you can do. And then you're psychic, which adds to it. But if you're trying too hard to live in the reality of everybody else, you won't be able to connect to what's there. And so in a way, like I see, you have this Aquarian nature and this Pisces nature, and you're born between the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius. And maybe you're supposed to connect the two ages. I mean, obviously it's not all on your shoulders right now, but maybe you're a definite part of it, to be able to take in this old school thought and bring it into a new school thought. But you have to learn. And since Saturn is in Sagittarius, and which is going over your Mercury conjunct Neptune and your ascendant, you're going to have to learn lessons about who you are, about yourself, and what you want to go achieve with it. And you might even get to start something new and learn a new trade or craft. And I would say that maybe you should really, and I know you are, but maybe even, I don't know if you can do this, but enroll in an astrology school if you felt like it. I don't know if that's something that you would want to do. Let's see your 9th house. Your 9th house has Saturn in it, 0 degrees, and it's ruled by Leo. You learn better at home by yourself. So don't go away to school, but maybe if you did an online school or something that could make you feel more confident about your own skills, and maybe even being an astrologer. So how I put that with, like, say, a partner is that if you were good at this, if you knew you were, and maybe you started giving readings, like tarot readings or astrology readings or something, and started actually feeling confident in that and practicing, you might have a hard time making money and, being there on time and having routine and all that stuff, which is something you're looking for, definitely. But if you had somebody who you could work for or work with, who helped you set that up and took care of your clients for you and took care of everything else and got people to meet you like you're some sort of an oracle, I feel like you would do really well like that. And I don't exactly know what that means, but that's just stuff that's all coming to me, is that you're unique-minded, you understand details, you have a great memory, you remember everything. When you put two things together, you can make sense of the nonsensical because you're able to achieve information through Neptune. It comes to you. Even stuff that you may not know, you never learned about, you just actually have it in you because you've escaped through that portal your whole life. Now, something else is that because of all that Neptune and the Uranus stuff, there is a belief system and your Saturn is 0 degrees in the 9th house, 0 degrees in Virgo, and your Pisces moon. There's so much there. But connecting to your higher self and God. And I don't know if you use a pendulum ever, or if you're like into it, but I think if you haven't, you should go to a New Age shop and get one and hold it, and then tell it to connect to your higher self. And then learn the way that it talks to you, like what is yes and what is no. And see if you can't connect. Now, if you're connecting to your lower self, you'll get mean responses from a pendulum. But if you're connecting to your higher self, you'll get good ones. And so that will tell you a lot about the clarity of your mind. But I feel like you'd really be able to connect. So I think you need to dive into the mystical realities of life and stop wanting to go into something that you're forcing yourself into, because that would give you a career and something that you want to do, and something I think you just might need some confidence to do it. So this is what I'm telling you. But now we're going to look at your draconic chart. So the understanding of your soul and why you are put into this is that you have a 1 degree Gemini ascendant. Your sun is in Taurus and your moon is in Virgo. And obviously, everything else is still the same in the houses. They're just in different signs. So as a Taurus sun, your soul is very stubborn. It also likes to live nicely and feel nice about yourself. Your soul itself wants to take a million bubble baths and not have to work so hard, but just have a bunch of money. That's what your soul is wanting to do. Your ascendant being 1 degree Gemini means that you're a very talkative soul. And your higher self wants to talk. And actually, I would say that your higher self wants to talk to you anytime. So you should really get a pendulum if you haven't, and work with that. And don't just take what I said to it. You might want to look it up online if you haven't. I don't know. I don't know what you've done with that, but I just think that you should really invest in that. I think it'd be really good. And that's what I'm seeing from here. So your moon is in Virgo, and that means that, and your Mercury is conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees. And wow, in Gemini too. That's crazy. Because Mercury rules your moon and your ascendant in Draconic. And it's conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees. It's such a big deal for you. There's some part of your soul that has been a mystic forever. And in this life, you get to experience the mystical again. It seems like a very personal time for you because of you're kind of born into what your soul already knows. But you were born in this new age. And I'm wondering if maybe you haven't been a person for a couple hundred years. The last time your soul was in a body, it was so long ago. And so you're almost in this world, like a fish out of water, because you were just this very famous mystic, let's say, who knew everything, a psychic, who made predictions. And then you come into this and you haven't been alive for a while, and then your soul decides, I'm going to go back to Earth. And you're like, holy shit, I don't even know what I want to do here. What is my purpose? What is my goals? These things, some things work out for me, some things don't. All I want to do is go into, the mountains. And you enjoyed that for 5 years. Nobody can enjoy that for 5 years in this day and age. Are you kidding me, Brian? But your soul wanted that, to communicate with nature, with spirituality, to connect to God. Your soul desires that because that is what your soul does. But in this life, because of your North Node being in the 10th conjunct Pluto, means that this is the life for you to create a career from what you've already known. To have the public see you. And to allow that to transform you, so that when your soul enters another body, your soul is prepared for this new age. And that is why your natal chart looks like it's in a crossroads between the old age and the new age. Your soul really needs to learn this new age as well as the old age, and it needs to figure out ways to take everything it already knows and put it into an understanding of the future. And so that's past life stuff, obviously. So if you think about yourself like that, be like, these are the things that I know. I know how to be mystical. I know how to escape. I know how to live in an illusion, in a fantasy. But throughout your life, you've also learned how to be a part of this world, and you have. And when I sort of am making fun of you when I say, you can't live in this world, because that's what your chart says. But it doesn't mean that you can't. Like, you've obviously done it. Maybe there's been some missteps, but you've worked through those, and you have to keep working through them. Like, life's a journey. It's not a destination, because that's not where you came from. You don't know how to navigate this. And so everything you do, it's like you're walking in this new life for the first time and you're trying to figure it out. And this life is going to transform the rest of your lives. It's a new age for you, and you're bringing it in with your knowledge. And so I think you need to bring your knowledge to the forefront. And I don't know, do you, write blogs or whatever, but you can do stuff like that. Get it out. Don't just follow, lead with your knowledge in some way. And maybe write or experience it in some way. Some way you have to take it out of yourself. So the last thing to look at is your comparison chart. You see your North Node in your natal chart, which is, this chart you're born with, is conjunct your draconic Chiron. And so Chiron wants to heal your North Node, telling me that your soul is helping you heal your destination, your destiny. Your destiny, when people have their North Node in the 10th, it's like they always feel bad. Like, I don't know how to have a job. I don't know why this is so hard. Like, that's what everybody says. They try really hard to figure out how to have a career and have a job and all this stuff, because it's not what they were born knowing. They were knowing the opposite. But then they look back on their life and they're like, oh, I made that happen. And that's what you have to do. Like, you look at my North Node is in Taurus in the 2nd house, and my South Node's in Scorpio in the 8th house. And I just create chaos. And every time I get money, it burns a hole in my pocket, and I procrastinate. Like, there's no part of my life that seems Taurus-y, easy and materialistic and so happy. So, because of that, I have to allow myself to get into a place where I can be stable. And I have to tell myself not to create chaos and not to lose money and all those other things. I have to let myself have the things that I want. And for you, you have to let yourself have the career you want. So when you think about it, you're like, what stops you from going out and doing exactly what you feel like you'd be good at? What makes you think that you have to either do what other people want you to do or stay to yourself? Those are your 2 options here, but there's more. You have so many more options. You don't have to just do what the world asks of you, and you don't have to do what you've always done. You can choose a new life and go there. And you're a manifester. You manifest reality because you have Neptune on your ascendant and your soul is psychic. So you can make things happen. You just have to go out and make the life you want to happen. Otherwise, you're going to sabotage it naturally because you're unhappy with it. We sabotage things all the time, especially when it has to do with our North Node. If you allow yourself to just have it. And now it's in Libra too, and I feel like once you sort of reach your destiny of your career goals, you can also really get to your relationship goals, which then throws your Jupiter and your ascendant into a really good place where they're happy and they're in harmony with each other. Because your Jupiter, you're lucky in a relationship, which throws everything together. So leaning towards being able to understand a career goal that has to do with who you already are and not who you want to be will help you get there, and you won't sabotage it. And focusing on you, you have to focus on yourself and the things that you want. If you focus on everybody else, you're not going to get what you really want. Your soul wants to help you because your Chiron is trying to heal your North Node. It wants to help you. Connect with your higher self. You really you need to if you haven't. You're going to learn so much from yourself. You're going to be amazed. Now your moon is conjunct Saturn, and Jupiter is on your ascendant, and midheaven is on your moon. So, looking at this, your moon and where you get your emotions is your soul's midheaven, your soul's projection, your soul's purpose. So your moon, being your emotional nature, is your soul's purpose. So the way you emote, you feel like maybe it's not something you totally understand. Pisces is very hard to understand, obviously. My ascendant's in Pisces, you get it, Your soul's midheaven is there. So your projection of your soul's purpose is on your moon. Understanding your moon helps you understand what your soul has always set out to do. And that's why I think it also doesn't belong in this life, but it should. You can make it work through other things. Your Jupiter is on your ascendant, compounding your Neptune, making it bigger than life, but also feeding you knowledge that you didn't read anywhere, that is psychic, that came from your soul. And your draconic ascendant actually falls in your 6th house. So your soul entered your body in the 6th house, which is your routine in your daily life. That means you get an understanding of who you are in your soul every day, just living. When you live, you see your soul. When you're doing normal Virgo things like exercising, health, taking care of yourself, setting your alarm clock, all of that stuff is how your soul entered your body. So what you do, like say you don't set your alarm clock, you don't take care of yourself, all those things are from your soul. And so it looks like you heal your 6th house of routine. Set a routine for yourself. Force yourself up at a certain time if you don't already. Also work out. Yoga, like you said, yoga studio or something. There's yoga by Adriene on YouTube, 30 days of yoga. Do stuff like that because that will help you connect to your true purpose. A lot of you is about taking out what you already know, but working through the mist and allowing your life to be exactly what your life was supposed to be and not trying to make it a different life. And really loving who you are. Big thing with 10th and North Node in the 10th too is about loving who you are. Pluto there, creating chaos and destruction, messing up everything. You're going to mess up, not yourself. You're not going to mess up. You're going to mess up the world with your knowledge. You just have to be able to get it out of you. So that's why I see your draconic helping you in that way. And I believe that is all I needed to say to you today. So, Brian, thanks again for waiting, and I'll talk to you next. Bye.